Welcome back. You're here because you want to get straight to the heart of things. Grab the key knowledge without wading through endless text. That's what we do.
And today, we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating figure, Marcus Aurelius.
Right, the Roman emperor lived 121 to 180 AD, ruled towards the end there.
Exactly. Reigned from 161 AD until his death. He was the last of those so-called 5 good emperors, and his time marks the end of the Pax Romana, that long period of Roman peace.
But we're not just talking history, are we? We're digging into his philosophy, specifically from his private writings, the Meditations.
That's the core of it. And it's crucial to understand what Meditations actually is. It wasn't written for us. Not really.
Yeah, my understanding from the sources is it's more like personal notebooks, things he wrote for himself.
Precisely. Probably jotted down during military campaigns, maybe around 171 to 175 AD. They're reflections, reminders to himself. Not in any strict order, mostly.
Though I saw a note that book 1 might be a bit different, maybe written separately.
That's a scholarly point, yeah. But the overall feel is very personal, almost raw. It's like listening in on his thoughts.
So our mission today is to pull out the key ideas from Meditations. What are the core principles, the actionable stuff, maybe even some surprises that can help us, live a bit better.
Exactly. And we should note there are loads of translations, and sometimes the nuances differ. We'll focus on the big recurring themes.
Okay, so where do we start unpacking this? Stoicism seems like the bedrock. Can you give us a quick refresher on what Stoicism meant for Aurelius?
Sure. So Stoicism fundamentally is about living a life of virtue and reason, living in harmony with nature, with the way things are.
And a huge part of that is figuring out what you can actually control, right?
That's central. Absolutely crucial. Distinguishing between what's up to us, our judgments, our choices, our reactions, our desires, and what's not up to us.
Like external events, other people, even our own bodies to an extent.
Exactly. Things like health, reputation, what others think or do. The Stoic idea is focus your energy entirely on what is in your control and learn to accept the rest with, well, tranquility.
Acceptance is key. That feels incredibly relevant today, just dealing with everything. Okay, so one thing definitely not always in our control is other people. How did Aurelius think about dealing with them?
Yes. He's very realistic about it. He starts book 2 by basically saying, okay, today I'm going to meet intrusive people, ungrateful people, arrogant, dishonest, envious, uncharitable people.
Huh, sounds familiar. He wasn't naive.
Not at all. But here's the interesting part. He attributes these flaws not to inherent evil, but to ignorance.
Ignorance?
Ignorance of what is truly good and what is truly evil. In their own minds, they're probably chasing something they think is good, even if it causes harm.
That's surprisingly empathetic, especially for an emperor dealing with potentially annoying or even treacherous people.
It is, and it connects to another core idea, our fundamental interconnectedness. He often uses the analogy of the body.
Oh, right, like we're all hands, feet, eyes, parts of one organism.
Exactly. So fighting each other, being angry or obstructive, it's unnatural. It's like the left hand refusing to work with the right. It goes against our very nature as social beings.
So if someone wrongs you, what then? Just take it.
Not exactly take it passively, but be tolerant. Understand where they might be coming from, that ignorance idea, and crucially, do good anyway.
Do good even to those who wrong you. That's tough.
It is. He actually quotes someone, Antisthenes, saying, it is real to do good and be abused. The idea is that maintaining your own virtue, your own goodness, despite how others act, is uniquely human strength.
So it's less about them and more about managing your own reaction, focusing on your own behavior.
Precisely. Control your judgment about the act. Be gentle, be good, even if they aren't. Anchor yourself in your own principles.
He has that great line somewhere. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy.
That's the one. Powerful, isn't it? They'll sink to their level.
Wow.
By refusing to mirror their negativity, you preserve your own inner peace and stay true to your values.
Okay, that leads nicely into the next big theme. Self-mastery. Finding that inner peace, that tranquility he talks about so much.
Yes, this is absolutely central to Meditations. He constantly reminds himself that our emotional state isn't dictated by external events, but by our judgment of those events.
So the disturbance comes from within, from our perception.
Entirely. The event itself is often neutral. It's the story we tell ourselves about the event that causes anger, fear, sadness. This is incredibly empowering because it means our peace is ultimately in our own hands.
And one way he suggests achieving that is by focusing intensely on the present moment.
Yes, he advises performing each action as if it were your very last. Think about that. It forces you to be present, mindful, and to act with intention and virtue right now.
No room for worrying about yesterday or tomorrow if this action is the only one that matters.
Exactly. And that focus cultivates inner quiet. He famously says, you can retreat into your own soul for peace, more quiet, more freedom than anywhere else.
You don't need a beach or a quiet cabin.
Nope. The sanctuary is within you, accessible anytime.
So how do we practice this? He talks about examining impressions, sticking to initial impressions. What does that mean?
Okay, so an impression is like the raw data from your senses or your first thought about something. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. The impression is just, car moved in front of me.
Right, but my judgment is usually, that idiot, how dare they?
Precisely. Aurelius advises sticking to that first bare impression, car moved in front of me, and not adding the secondary judgment, the emotional story. He did it deliberately to disrespect me, this is terrible, etc.
Just observe, don't immediately evaluate or pile on meaning.
Exactly. Pause before you react. Examine the impression with reason. Is this thing actually harmful to your core self, your ability to be virtuous? Usually the answer is no.
And reason is the key tool here, isn't it? He calls it the guiding principle.
It is. Reason is what separates us, what allows us to understand nature, make good judgments, and live virtuously. We need to respect and cultivate that faculty within us.
So avoid getting caught up in, what do you call them, vain fantasies, or worrying too much about what other people think.
Yes, those are external, often irrational. Focus on your inner reason, your own virtue. He had that striking line. Shame to the soul to falter on the road of life while the body still perseveres.
Wow. Basically, keep your mind strong even when your body is struggling.
It's about inner resolve, guided by reason. He also talks about the inner ruling power, or guiding principle, hegemonikon in Greek.
That sounds like our core self, our conscious mind.
Sort of, yeah. It's the faculty of reason and judgment. And he says this ruling power can adapt to circumstances, like fire consuming obstacles and turning them into fuel.
So even in tough situations, our reason can find a way.
That's the idea. You can analyze, adapt, and choose a virtuous response no matter what life throws at it. It's about resilience rooted in reason.
And this internal focus extends to authenticity too, right? Not just thinking right, but being genuine.
Absolutely. He uses this really vivid analogy like a strong smell. A truly good person's character should be immediately obvious, not something they have to put on or fake.
Like you can just sense their honesty and integrity.
Exactly. It should emanate from them naturally, no pretense. Just be good, be honest, in word and deed.
Okay, let's widen the lens again. This idea of living in accordance with nature and the cosmos, that can sound a bit mystical. What does it practically mean?
Well, it's partly about seeing the big picture. Viewing the entire universe as one interconnected living being with one substance, one soul. Everything is linked.
And that helps how?
It fosters that cosmic perspective. Think about the immense scale of time past and future and the vastness of space. Suddenly, your own lifespan, your personal worries, your desire for fame, these are pretty small, almost insignificant.
It puts things in perspective, makes you less likely to sweat the small stuff or chase fleeting things like praise.
Precisely. What's the point of applause that echoes for a moment in infinite time? And it also leads to acceptance. If the universe is this interconnected whole, then whatever happens is part of its nature, its destiny, its flow.
So accepting what's fated, like the Stoic amor fati, love of fate.
Yes, something very close to that. He says, everything that is in harmony with you, O universe, is in harmony with me too. It's about aligning your will with the larger order, understanding that what happens is necessary, part of the grand design. Resisting it is futile.
And that includes accepting death, which he talks about quite a bit.
Yes, he viewed death not as something terrifying, but as a natural process, like leaves falling in autumn or like birth itself. It's a dissolution, a transformation, part of the cycle of nature.
Nothing to fear, just a change of state.
Exactly. He constantly reminds himself of the briefness of life compared to eternity, not to induce fear, but to encourage living fully and virtuously now, and to accept the natural end when it comes.
That cyclical nature, things changing, returning seems important too.
Very. Everything is in flux. Empires rise and fall, people live and die, elements combine and dissolve. Understanding this constant change helps us avoid clinging too tightly to things and accept loss as inevitable.
Like those waves crashing on the rock he mentions, be the rock.
Be the rock. Remain stable internally, grounded in reason and virtue, while the waves of external events wash over you. Don't resist the inevitable flow. Understand it's part of the natural order.
Okay, so acceptance and inner peace are huge. But it's not purely passive, is it? There's a strong emphasis on virtue and duty.
Absolutely critical. It's not just about feeling calm, it's about acting rightly. Virtue, justice, courage, temperance, wisdom is the sole good for Stoics.
And you should pursue virtue for its own sake, right? Not for reward or praise.
Exactly. He uses the example of an emerald. Does an emerald stop being beautiful if no one praises it? Of course not. Its value is inherent. Same with a good person acting virtuously.
The action itself is the reward.
Yes. And he connects this to our purpose. He says a person's worth is really measured by the things they dedicate themselves to. If you focus on virtue, on reason, that defines your value.
And part of that virtue involves our duty to others, our social duty.
Definitely. We are social creatures by nature. Our reason allows us to cooperate for the common good. He uses that famous analogy of the bees.
What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee.
Precisely. Our individual good is tied to the good of the whole community. So acting justly, honestly, contributing positively, that's fulfilling our nature and our duty. Integrity in everything.
So we've covered some deep philosophical ground, but Meditations is also full of really practical, almost bite-sized advice, isn't it?
Oh, completely. It's like a handbook for living. He constantly reminds himself and us things like, don't waste time on non-essentials.
Cut out the unnecessary thoughts and actions. Ask yourself, is this necessary?
Yes, such a powerful filter for modern life, with all its distractions. Focus your mind. Use it effectively on what truly matters, on what's within your power.
And the constant reminder of mortality.
Do not act as if you are going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. It's urgent, but not morbid. It's a call to action to live well now.
Focus on inner worth, not external approval. Build that solid internal character.
Right. Don't be swayed by opinions. And keep learning. He advises, give yourself time to learn something new and good. Don't just drift aimlessly.
It's about continuous, deliberate self-improvement.
Exactly. And finally, that core idea again. Adapt to your circumstances. Love your fate, in a sense. Find contentment where you are with what you have to work with.
Embrace what life throws at you and use it as an opportunity to practice virtue.
That's the Stoic way, as Aurelius saw it. Find harmony, exercise reason, act virtuously, accept what you can't control.
Wow. Okay, that really brings Marcus Aurelius' Meditations to life. It's just packed with insights that feel, well, timeless. These reminders about virtue, reason, acceptance, they're incredibly practical tools for navigating life today.
And what makes it resonate, I think, is knowing this wasn't just abstract pontificating. This was an emperor, arguably the most powerful man in the world at the time, actively grappling with these ideas, striving daily to live up to them himself. You feel the effort in the writing.
Absolutely, it feels earned. So thinking about all this, here's something for our listeners to chew on. Which specific principle from Marcus Aurelius really hits home for you right now? In your current situation, maybe thinking back to the sources you shared with us, what's one idea you could try applying, even in a small way, to shift your perspective or find a bit more resilience?
Yeah, that's a great takeaway question. And we definitely encourage you to explore Meditations directly. Pick up a translation, maybe compare a couple, see how these ancient thoughts, written by a Roman emperor on campaign centuries ago, might still offer some profound guidance for living a good life in our own complex world. It's a conversation worth having.
Guys, see you in another podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.